Hello everybody, it's Chris and welcome back to the channel. Today we are actually going to be watching something that covers both the fat acceptance movement and also diet and nutrition. Two things I cover largely on this channel that my channel is centered around. So I thought this would be fun. Today, it's not quite a retro react. It's something that happened about a year ago. So it's not brand new, but you know, still a good fun topic to react to. We are actually going to be watching a video that Kiana Docherty made on how the fat acceptance movement blew up the internet in rage over Gwyneth Paltrow's, quote, problematic diet, her paleo style diet. So in this video, Kiana shows a very problematic YouTuber, Abbey Sharp's reaction, and also shows a little bit of our fat activist favorite, Tess Holiday. And she brings up some good points, and of course I will add mine too. So I will link Kiana's video down below. She makes great content, very thorough, presents things so well, has lost weight herself. So she knows what it's like. So definitely go check out her channel. I will link this video down below and that will take you to her channel and her other content. And it is sped up for time. I just thought this would be a fun one because it kind of shows the problems with fat acceptance and that way of thinking, and also the hypocrisy. And Abbey Sharp tends to be very problematic because she's very stuck in that 1980s dietetics mindset of it's only calories in, calories out, high carb, high fiber, low fat, just very antiquated ways of thinking. And she also is a woman who, despite being very thin, really hates thin women. Women in general, especially thin women. She likes fat women, and she gets mad when overweight women want to lose weight, and gets mad when thin, fit women want to stay fit and not get fat. So she's very problematic. She does cater a lot, very much so, to the haze and body positivity community. And it's evil because she herself does not practice everything she preaches. She won't get fat. She doesn't let herself get fat. It's horrible to encourage other people, other women, to get fat. And then she's just problematic with her reviews on diets. That's why I cover her on the channel, and I'll continue to cover her. And it's just, she's a very fascinating case. So let's get started, and you can let me know in the comments how you feel about Gwen's diet and how you think her diet and her eating. She does a paleo style diet, how you think that is. And I know Gwyneth is a kook. That's okay. I'm a kook. I'm a goofball. I admit that. I have my eccentricities. I don't agree with a lot of her political views or some of her quite so extreme wellness and self-care ideas, but the woman's in her 50s and she looks amazing, and her diet is not that problematic. So let's see what they have to say.
I never thought I would make a video even semi-defending Gwyneth Paltrow, and this might turn out to be a very controversial take, but here we go. If you don't already know by now, Gwyneth Paltrow's wellness routine went viral on TikTok.
I have bone broth for lunch.
If you hear noise in the background, it's my little one. He's playing with his dad, playing video games in the other side of the room here.
A lot of the days.
And people were really upset by what she had to say.
People really acted like Gwyneth has a starvation diet and that she starves herself. And that's not the case. And they took her words out of context and they misconstrued a lot of what she was saying. So I'm going to dispel some of that and we'll see. And as you see right here, if you're not watching 18 seconds into Kiana's video, the first thing that pops up is a bunch of people complaining about, oh, Gwen's an almond mom. She's problematic. Notice it's all fat women. Okay, don't tell me you're jealous or anything. You don't have to, because it shows.
Food eat food.
And we have got to stop calling this woman the Almond Mom Final Boss. She is the
To the
size
batshit medical beliefs that Gwyneth has.
Please
and
don't do
that's
this.
Dr.
Just feed yourself. You deserve food. You deserve
Air.
This isn't wellness. This is sickness.
It's one thin woman amongst all the other fat ones. And I'm sorry, I think the most evil in the fat acceptance movement are the thin women, the thin dietitians and trainers and stuff who encourage, just like Abbey, other women to stay fat or to get fat or to feel shame of some kind about wanting to be thin, wanting to be fit, wanting to be healthy. It's just diabolical.
It should be illegal to put this out into the media.
I wasn't planning on making a video on this, but then two of those people were Tess Holiday
Because everyone is too afraid to be fat.
and Abby Sharp.
So many trigger warnings for what I'm about to say here, folks.
Like I said, look at how thin Abbey is. She's not getting fat, and she eats a very specific way, keeps herself a certain body size and everything, so she doesn't practice what she preaches. And I do have the volume max out. Kiana seems a little lower in this video. If she does, I am very sorry. I have all of my audio settings turned up as high as possible, so if you can't hear her very well and would need to use headphones in this one, I do apologize. Sometimes the creators, they just record at a lower level and you can only prop it up like so much.
Folks, and to me, their responses were just kind of so off the wall that I felt I had to say something. So in case you have not seen the clip yet, let's watch the Gwyneth Paltrow clip first.
What's your wellness routine look like now?
I eat dinner early in the evening. I do a nice intermittent fast. I usually eat something about 12. I have coffee, but I really like soup for lunch.
So she fasts intermittently after her last meal of the day until around noon. She doesn't eat breakfast, which, okay, if you're not hungry, you don't need to eat breakfast. You know who said breakfast is the most important deal of the day? The Kellogg's guy who made a breakfast cereal and wanted you to eat it. But there's nothing wrong with intermittent fasting as long as you are a healthy body size or have weight to lose. As long as you're not starving yourself and you're like severely underweight, there's nothing inherently wrong with fasting.
I have bone broth for lunch a lot of the days. For dinner, I try to eat, according to paleo. So lots of vegetables. It's really important for me to support my detox.
Now,
And whether you believe in detox or not, that's for you to decide. I don't necessarily think you have to. I do think, quote, detoxes where you eat light or you do a liquid diet for a few days, I think that those are good in the sense that they can give your digestive system a chance to relax a little and rest. And when your body is not digesting food, it gives it the ability to allocate its energy and time to other things, like possibly healing and things like that. So you don't necessarily need to detox, but giving your digestive system a rest every now and then, it's not that bad. It helps you. It's not going to hurt.
if that is all Gwyneth Paltrow eats in a day, yeah, it's pretty bad. What would that be, like 300 calories? But let's listen to the question again.
What's your wellness routine look like now?
The question was, what is your wellness routine? It makes sense that she wouldn't list off everything that she eats in a day because that wasn't the question. Therefore,
Yeah, and she said she likes bone broth, and actually bone broth can be calorically dense if it's really rich, if it's got a lot of fat in it, if none of the fat has been removed, it can be very calorically dense. And she doesn't say just how much of it she drinks. She could have a gallon of it for all we know, but it is extremely nutritious, an amazing source of collagen, and it's very, very good for you. So no harm, no foul on Gwyneth for that one.
she only brings up the foods and the protocols that she considers to be contributing to her wellness routine. That's at least the way I took the question the first time that I heard this clip. But maybe I'm wrong, because that is not the way the rest of the internet seems to have interpreted this clip. We're going to start with dietitian and fellow YouTuber Abbey Sharp's reaction and then move on to Tess Holiday's.
And Abbey will always staunchly, very harshly criticize other thin women or fit women's diets. She goes far easier on overweight and obese women. This is the woman who told Amber Lynn freaking Reed that her mukbangs were healthy and that she doesn't eat enough during the day. Like, come on. Are you kidding me? You could fit 2 or 3 of Abbey inside of Amber's body. And she told her with a serious demeanor that she doesn't eat enough. I mean, come on.
I did not think Gwyneth could get any more dangerous to the public, but then she posted this.
Abbey is dangerous and problematic to the public.
Something about 12, have coffee, have bone broth for lunch.
What I'm hearing is that she eats nothing for breakfast, just black coffee until...
And that's okay. But Abbey is one of those people that pushes 3 to 6 meals a day, 3 meals, at least 2 or 3 snacks, because God forbid your insulin levels ever come down at all. She pushes very high fiber, high carb, high sugar. And the freaking worst part about Abbey is she very openly pushes emotional eating and eating to satisfy emotional needs and craving, and pushes intuitive eating on people like Amber Lynn Reid who cannot and should not do it.
Noon.
Okay, not eating until 12. Pretty standard intermittent fast here. Nothing too problematic so far, I thought.
And guess what? I'm sorry, especially if you are a normal weight or overweight or obese, skipping a meal is not going to kill you.
But for some reason, Abby Sharp was like hardcore sneering the entire time she's playing this clip. She does not like Gwyneth Paltrow.
Because Abby is addicted to carbs and sugar. So she's always eating very high fiber, high carby, sugary, sweet things too. Sugar goes up, insulin goes up, knocks that back down, and then she gets those cravings triggered. So she eats several times a day. Which is not good for you, by the way, guys. Like, the way she advocates eating is not healthy for the general public.
Which, I mean, okay, fair, whatever. But at this moment in time, kind of uncalled for, because so far, everything Gwyneth said has been pretty mild. I was almost like disappointed in Gwyneth, you know what I mean? This is her morning routine. I was expecting so much more from the vagina candle lady, the vagina...
Yeah, something weird.
Vagina egg lady, the vagina steam lady.
I don't know about all that, but I really do. I don't like the sound of vajayjay steaming. I mean, you could really hurt yourself with that.
The goop pseudoscience queen of the world. This is her morning routine. Like, I was kind of hoping for some like chanting, maybe like a cryogenic chamber, maybe like, something involving blood. I was really expecting a lot more. And then all we got was she just, doesn't eat at night and then stalls breakfast until later in the morning. Like, that's it.
And Gwyneth Paltrow is very healthy. Like I said, she looks great. She's in her early 50s. She looks amazing. And people will say, oh, she's too skinny. She's actually not. She's a pretty healthy body weight. She's tall and lean. She's not at an abnormally low body weight or anything like that. She has decent muscle tone. Yeah, she's like, I don't agree with all of her stances, like I said, but I do like a lot of her movies, and I think she looks really good. She's clearly healthy, you know what I mean? And she's not pushing anything that's inherently dangerous when it comes to food. Paleo is a very healthy way to eat.
That's it, Gwyneth? Just sort of a letdown for me, I think. I was just really expecting a little more than that.
Then has bone broth for lunch, which clocks in at a measly 40 calories per cup. And then
which, like I said, if you have a very fatty bone broth, it can be quite a bit of calories. And we don't know how much she's drinking. You know what I mean?
Has some vegetables for dinner to support her detox.
I agree.
And that's not what she said. She said, and she has vegetables for dinner to support her detox. No, she talked about detoxing. She just happened to mention that she eats a lot of vegetables with her dinner to fill her up for the nutrition, I'm assuming. And she did not say all she had was vegetables. It's on record that Gwyneth has a lot of avocados, healthy oils, good fats, a lot of fish, chicken, things like that. So, yeah, sounds absolutely like it'll kill you.
Agree that bone broth as a first meal after a fast does sound a bit concerning. Bone broth is obviously very nutritious, and a homemade version could actually be quite caloric depending on what type of bones were used and whether or not the fat was extracted. But Abby, hearing that she's only having vegetables for dinner, she's hearing wrong. That's not what she said. She said that she eats paleo for dinner and has lots of vegetables.
Yeah, see, it was one more way for Abbey to misconstrue the words, because especially when she's responding in a short, she knows a lot of her viewers will not go and fact check what she's saying. They'll just hear what she said and go, oh my God, like, this is an eating disorder, when really that's not what was said.
Bone broth, vegetables, and maybe some paleo protein in there, whatever the that means.
Whatever that means. Okay, Abbey, like I said, that means fish, shellfish, and that could be fatty fish too, like salmon, mackerel, and also things like chicken, pork, beef, in any form, lamb, venison, elk. I mean, it's a myriad of proteins and stuff like that. So it's a wide variety of food.
Is generally going to make up such a small fraction of the calories that an active woman needs to thrive.
I mean, we just don't really have enough information to jump to the conclusion that she's not getting enough calories in the day from this.
Yeah, because she doesn't tell us how many calories she's eating. And you know what? At this point, her weight is stable. Her diet is honed in. She might not even actually count calories. She might just intuitively eat, because somebody who is a healthy weight, has a healthy lock on food in their eating habits, and eats healthy whole food, those people can intuitively eat. Okay, so that, Gwyneth might not even be counting her calories.
10-second clip of her talking about her wellness routine. Again, I can't really believe that I'm defending Gwyneth Paltrow right now, but I just feel like this is such a narrow interpretation of what was said and implied in this clip. Yeah, so
it is. That's exactly what it is. That's a good way to put it.
100% face value with no nuance applied. Then Gwyneth Paltrow was eating 300 calories a day, and that's really concerning and fucked up. And
then it's like implying that Gwyneth is encouraging people to starve.
Implied that she has some form of disordered eating, right? And hey, maybe she does. It would be plausible.
Yeah, and then she also acts like Gwyneth's way of eating is very restrictive. Okay, she limits carbs. She still has carbs because her meal plan has showed some different types of pastas and vegetables, which you get a lot of carbohydrates from those. But she limits a lot of grains and refined foods and processed carbs and things like that. That's not inherently unhealthy. She still has a huge variety of foods that she eats from. So her diet is still quite vast.
Paltrow is an A-list female celebrity who was in her teens and 20s in the 90s and early 2000s, aka the absolute height of diet culture, a time when you literally could not be too skinny. And not only was skinny the epitome of beauty, but basically the only acceptable form of it. As I'm sure Gwyneth Paltrow knows, being that she starred in Shallow Hal.
That's one of my favorite movies, Shallow Hal. I love that one.
Gwyneth Paltrow also seems to have been pretty much the same weight her entire adult life.
Yeah, if you look, she's been weight stable, and they'll go, she's too skinny. But guys, this is actually what a normal, healthy body weight looks like. She's on the leaner side of a healthy body weight, but she's not underweight. And she's also very, very tall. She's tall and lanky. So that adds to the illusion.
Wonder what her secret to staying so slim is. Maybe she's starving herself after all. Anyway, everything I just said was said to make a point. I'm speculating. I'm creating evidence out of nothing, and I'm judging her primarily based on the way that her body looks and nothing else. Of course, it is totally possible that Gwyneth Paltrow has a messed up relationship with food and is a quote-unquote almond mom. But a 10-second clip of her discussing her wellness routine and nothing else is not evidence.
I don't think there's a problem with being almond mom. People who want to be healthy and stuff, that's great, as long as you're not going too bonkers with it, especially with your kids. You want to teach them healthy habits, but you don't want to make them inherently afraid of eating the wrong thing or having a treat every now and then, right?
Maybe she's just a lady who's into health and wellness and doesn't like junky processed foods that much. Maybe she doesn't get hungry in the morning. We really don't know, and that wasn't very much information to really make any sort of judgment off of. Here's a post from Gwyneth Paltrow's Instagram from about a month ago. Sometimes it's a challenge to make grain-free, dairy-free, legume-free paleo dinners. I get stuck.
So yeah, she doesn't include any dairy, which I think some paleo people might eat dairy, but I do believe that dairy is not in the paleo spectrum, which, I mean, you can get away without eating dairy.
But Brad and I have felt so well eating this low inflammation way, with the occasional heavenly cheat meal, of course, that I keep challenging myself to find new ways to tailor food to this way of eating. And the food she makes actually looks pretty freaking good.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
We got some like fish here with like I don't know what they call when they put those herbs on top like that. And what
Yeah,
is this?
look at this platter with this healthy oil drizzled over this avocado with crab and herbs, and oh my gosh, it looks amazing. It makes me want to try these
A
foods.
full plate of avocados with looks like some sort of fish as well on top. Oh, it's crab. Crab, avocado,
This is low carb eating, guys, at its finest.
sashimi. A pasta of some sort, and
Not the
another salad
pasta.
here. I watched another video of her like dumping oil on her eggs, and she's talking about these extravagant breakfasts she makes for her boyfriend every Sunday morning. She's also written a ton of cookbooks and seems to enjoy food. I don't really feel
I
like
didn't know that. I'd have to check out a couple of her cookbooks, see what's in them.
it's fair to condemn or criticize someone for choosing to eat in a way that makes them and their body feel good, and that is objectively healthy. Maybe all the stuff surrounding it isn't healthy, but the words that she said and the food that she's talking about, that's healthy. In a response clip, Gwyneth Paltrow also said that she's suffering with high levels of inflammation and a
Yeah, and everything Kiana is saying is absolutely right on the money here.
chronic illness.
For over 2 years now, to deal with some chronic stuff. I have long COVID, and the way it manifests for me is very high levels of inflammation over time. The way I eat far more than bone broth and vegetables.
So yeah, whenever you have inflammation, a lot of people don't believe it, but what you eat is amazingly, it has a huge effect on your inflammation. So she's eating like no real refined, or like I'm sure that pasta was some sort of alternative pasta, like eating no refined grains and breads and things like that, no added sugar, no processed foods and stuff, no seed oils. Like she doesn't use trans fats and seed oils. She uses a lot of olive oil, fatty fish, nuts, seeds, coconut oil, things like that. That is amazing for inflammation. So if you have a problem with pain and inflammation for whatever reason, if you just go low carb or like really cut out your carbs, limit your carbs and limit the trans fats and stuff, even just just do it for like 3 or 4 weeks. You really should give it like 6 to 8 weeks, but just try it for 4 to 6 weeks. Legitimately try it. A good, healthy, low carb diet full of lots of good fats, meats, non-starchy vegetables, maybe some berries, dairy if you tolerate it, and you will be shocked at how much it can help with the inflammatory responses in your body.
Excellent evidence that diet heavily impacts the inflammation levels in the body.
It
So
does.
through all her fancy doctors and checkups, Gwyneth Paltrow has determined that this diet is helping her in some way. I just don't really feel like it's fair to criticize or condemn what she chooses to consume. And I think people are actually calling this health shaming now.
But to recap,
There is a lot of health shaming that goes on. Absolutely. And thin shaming, fit shaming, all of those type of things.
an 18-hour fasting window is often far too long for healthy females to help support normal reproductive function.
Okay, well, first of all, 18 hours is not that long. Most people intermittent fast, they do a 16 and 8. They fast for 16 hours, have an 8-hour eating window. Some people do like 12 and 12. Some people do 18 and 6 or 20 and 4, but that's not too long. And then the food she is eating is very nutrient dense, a lot of good fats and stuff like that. She is getting the calories she needs, so it's not that much of a problem. And as far as specifically relating to Gwyneth, Abbey with the it affects your fertility basically. Gwyneth is 51 or 52. She probably is not having babies anymore, so that's really not an issue. I know she said that to scare women in their childbearing years out of doing something like this, because like I said, Abbey believes in eating at least 6 to 7 times a day, and that is the more problematic eating pattern. If you had a choice between eating like Abbey and eating like Gwyneth, you would be inherently healthier eating like Gwyneth Paltrow.
Again, we don't really have enough information to make the claim that she's doing an 18-hour fast. We only know that she started eating at noon. Not to mention, is that a fair criticism of an 18-hour fast? There is definitely mixed data when it comes to women and intermittent fasting.
Fasting is amazing for healing, for longevity. It's for helping like lower things like your IGF-1, as far as, you know, helping your body get into repair mode. It helps stabilize blood sugars. Obviously, if you're like a type 1 diabetic or something, you need to consult your doctor about fasting, because you do have the lack of insulin and that type of stuff going on. But it's great for stabilizing blood sugars, learning how to control your hunger. It just has a myriad of health effects. But Abbey, you know, God, she shudders at the thought of not having anything to. She can't go without eating when she's awake during her waking hours, no longer than like 2, maybe 3 hours. Like Abbey would consider herself starving. Sorry, I hit the mic. If she went 3 or 4 hours without sticking something in her pie hole.
But intermittent fasting on the whole has been shown to be so healthy for people that I guess I just don't really understand why a dietitian would denigrate the entire concept of intermittent fasting with an extremely condescending tone. Gwen?
Because they are taught basically to push the standard American diet, the quote healthy version of it, which I call it the standard American disaster. She wants you to eat 3 to 6 times a day, very high and heavy on the carbs. Processed foods are okay as long as they're whole grain and lower fat, plant-based, things like that. So she's indoctrinated into a very unhealthy way of eating, and that's what she promotes.
Intermittent fast might be one of the most scientifically valid things she does all day, okay? I feel like we can let her have this one.
Paleo is bullshit. Nobody needs to be eating like their ancestors. There's a reason why their lifespan was a fraction of ours today.
So now paleo is just bullshit? It's not fair.
Abby says that about any type of low carb diet, be it low carb, Atkins, paleo, keto, carnivore. Abby is very carb addicted. She is sugar addicted, and she doesn't believe in restricting anything. And some people just have to freaking restrict. Not everybody can eat balanced diet. You know, we're the only species who tries to eat a balanced diet of everything when, you know, nobody gets the balance right. And some people just cannot eat certain things in moderation. I can't do that with a lot of sweet things. I've got a problem with it, and I admit that. I know that. Abby just doesn't seem to get that.
Or accurate to call paleo bullshit when there's quite a few studies now proving that it's at least a healthy protocol of eating for people. Abby has like 15 videos telling you.
Abby will absolutely shit on anything that limits anything, especially lower carb diets, because Abby's main style of eating and what she pushes is very high carb, high fiber. And fiber is actually very hard on your gut. It's very abrasive, and it can cause a lot of excess gas and pain and difficulty moving your stool. Like, it's actually hard on the digestive system. And Abby just pushes so much fiber. Like I said, Abby eats so much fiber. I wouldn't want to live anywhere near her house, because that woman must expel on any given day enough gas to raise the Goodyear blimp for a few hours. So, yeah.
What she orders at fast food restaurants, but now she's calling the entire concept of paleo bullshit. Like, I get it. These diets.
Yes, and she caters to the fat acceptance, intuitive eating, eat anything, don't restrict, by showing herself eating fast food and eating the ice cream and eating all the treats.
Can become scammy, and a lot of times they're marketed as these miracle weight loss cures. But nutrition is confusing enough. Unless it's a dangerous way of eating, why just completely shit on it? Paleo is not for me, and I think for the average person it's probably unnecessarily complicated, and not necessarily in a weight loss way. I experimented.
Yeah, because paleo, they try to go about it where they eat like Paleolithic humans might have. So they try not to eat like a lot of the cultured vegetables and foods that are newer to our lifestyle as humans. Legumes, like, she doesn't eat those. They don't eat dairy. I think they avoid a lot of nuts and things like that. So breads and stuff, grains. So it can be very complicated for a lot of people. But I mean, Gwyneth's got the money. She's got the time. She has probably personal chefs. She's fine.
I went with keto a few years ago, and though keto is definitely not for me and I don't want to do it again, I learned so much about my body and sugar and carbs by just not eating them for a period of time. And now I eat carbs, but I know how they feel. I know how it feels to have too many of them, and I find that information invaluable for me in my health journey. If it works for someone, they feel good, they like it, it's helping them, it's verifiably nutritious. I'm just not quite sure why I would be so dismissive of it.
Yeah, and like I said, I know Kiana has shared her weight loss journey, and she's had struggles with weight, and she has lost a lot of weight and kept it off and maintained it for a while, and she looks great. So, you know, when it comes to talking about diet and weight loss and stuff like that, you know, she's been there, done that.
For the love of all that is holy, you do not need to detox.
Okay, I agree with her here. Also, what exactly do we expect Gwyneth Paltrow's diet to look like? Did we expect her to start her day with like a taquito and a big gulp from 7-Eleven? To create goop,
Yeah,
right?
really.
To sell insane wellness products at insane price points. I would sort of hope that Gwyneth would at least like be into wellness. You know what I mean? Like, would it not be more messed up if she did not do all this wellnessy stuff to start her day? I don't want to blow the lid.
Let me know, have any of you guys tried any of the Goop products? I haven't. I've been tempted to, just maybe to see what they were about. I know the big one is the infamous, this candle smells like my hoo-ha. You know, I don't know if I can say the word on YouTube because YouTube is a very strict parent. But I don't know. I can't imagine what that would smell like and stuff like that. Let me know in the comments. Do you guys want to see me order that particular Gwyneth Paltrow particular body part candle and do a little review on it? Let me know in the comments, and if I get enough people saying yeah, sure, go ahead, do it, maybe I will order it and we will do a review and see what it's like. Since I make candles and soaps and stuff, I am always up for trying a new one. That one kind of scares me, but let me know in the comments.
Card here, but it does feel like we pay so much more attention to women's health decisions, while the male side of wellness culture is kind of just free to do as they please. I think they like to call male wellness culture biohacking. Like that's what they call it on The Voice.
Well, things like keto, and getting into ketosis and skipping carbs and fasting and stuff, that is kind of biohacking in a way.
Side, and I'm not judging it, okay? I'm into it. I think it's so fun, and why would I not want to make little tweaks to my lifestyle and try little things here and there so that I could be healthier and like biohacked?
Yeah,
But
nothing
things
wrong with
do
that.
Get pretty extreme over there sometimes, and yet nobody gives a fuck. I remember reading a Tim Ferriss book when I was like 13, and the guy says he does like, what is it? A 3-day fast once per month and a 5 to 7 day fast once per quarter. No one cares. I don't assume that he has food issues. I actually don't even think I know what the guy's body looks like.
Fasting can be tricky. It can be hard. But like I said, it does have a lot of healing effects.
I know what he looks like. Ironically, Gwyneth Paltrow's ex Coldplay frontman Chris Barton also came out and says he only eats one meal per day. Once at 4 o'clock, that's it. And guess what? Nobody cares. We're all like, cool, nice discipline, bro. And I'm not by any means saying at all that we should start judging guys more for their biohacking routine.
Well, women get really scrutinized in general. Women have always been more criticized for their appearance and their body size and stuff like that, more so than men. And female celebrities have always been like who young girls and women look up to, and they do influence these kids and stuff like that. So there is a lot of pressure on them to not teach them or encourage them with bad habits. And nowadays it's not just like singers and actresses, but you have social media stars, YouTubers, influencers and stuff like that who have the same effect on young girls and are acting as role models for young girls, just like back in my day it was singers and actresses and models, you know what I mean? So there's always been more scrutiny for females than males.
I'm saying that I think this whole thing when it comes to Gwyneth Paltrow is sort of just kind of unfair and overblown. If Gwyneth Paltrow's wellness routine was caffeine pills and laxatives, then okay, yeah, let's all start freaking out. But otherwise, it's sort of out of context, and yeah, it's just kind of unfair. And maybe I also kind of think that the whole point was to stir up controversy. Apparently, Goop actually thrives off controversy. So if you hate her, then you're also like playing into her hand. Now, in my opinion, Abbey Sharp had a bad take, but Tess Holliday had a fucking terrible take.
Tess had a terrible take. And honestly, who in the hell is Tess Holliday to talk about anybody when she always parrots the you can't judge my food, you can't judge my body, you can't judge my size, you can't judge how I look and my actions and my food. Again, I'm saying that again because she really stresses that. And then what does she do to this woman who is thinner and looks far better than her, and she's like what, 15, 20 years older than Tess? She came for her eating and diet, and made assumptions about her and having poor eating habits, all based off of a 1 or 2 minute clip.
Okay, so my camera died for the 50th time and it's been a while, so I changed and I'm ready for this doozy of a test clip. Also, going into this, I'm making the assumption that you're up to date on all the Tess Holiday lore. So if you're not, this section probably will not make sense. But it's too short of a clip for me to like go and explain everything. So go watch my hour-long Tess video instead.
That video she did on Tess is the first one I ever saw from her. It talks about Tess and like fat acceptance, the fat acceptance movement in general, but it really revolves heavily around Tess Holiday. And it is an amazing video. It is like such a great video. I suggest you go, if you watch one video from Kiana's, if you haven't seen her, watch that one.
I have bone broth for lunch a lot.
You know, what I find most mental about this is that we've known for years that she is okay with glorifying her eating disorder. And
like, that's not like, she considers Gwyneth being so focused on health and nutrition as being an eating disorder. Maybe she has a little bit of orthorexia, but for the most part, I don't consider that too much of a problem as long as you don't go crazy with it. She obviously still eats. She eats enough. She eats plenty. Who is Tess to sit there and say anything when this bitch sits there and stuffs herself with burgers and Taco Bell and whole cakes and boxes of pizza, and she's 2.5, almost 3 times the size she should be for a 5'2", 5'3" woman, teaching poor eating habits to her kids, influencing far more people as far as I'm concerned than Gwyneth Paltrow is, because Tess has millions of followers and viewers on social media, a ton of young women she's encouraging to be fat, stay fat, or get fatter. And eat unhealthily. And not to listen to your doctor if they say anything about your weight because it's fat phobic. Tess is the absolute more despicable, dangerous one here. And she just has no room to run her trap. Not one bit. I'm sorry. She gets me heated.
I'm not judging because I have an eating disorder.
You're clearly judging.
Okay.
And let me tell you, Tess Holiday is so rude to every person who legitimately struggles with a restrictive ED by claiming she has the Anna or any type of restrictive ED, when most definitely this woman has BED. She has a massive overconsumption problem. You don't starve yourself to be a super gigunda fat, okay? And just because you skipped a meal or two or a snack or you missed a buffet test doesn't mean you have a restricting ED. Just because you were busy all day and didn't get to eat until later on in the night doesn't mean you have Anna. She's so gross.
There is just so much to unpack here. We are about to listen to possibly the most hypocritical take of all time.
Bone broth is not a suitable meal.
How do you know, Tess? 5 Big Macs with a side of fries and a Diet Coke is not a legitimate good meal either. And like we said, we don't know how much bone broth she's drinking, and she probably has a more than adequate dinner and snack.
And then to end your day with just eating vegetables?
And that's not what she said. She said she has lots of vegetables, but she also has fattier ones like avocados, which I know technically is a fruit. It's a single-seeded berry, to be exact. Has a lot of good fats and proteins, nuts. I do believe she has some nuts and stuff like that. And she takes supplements and things like that too. So she doesn't just eat vegetables. I mean, God forbid, I'm sure Tess has never eaten a vegetable in her life that she likes unless it was battered and deep fried. But, you know.
Tess Holiday is not about to tell the world what a suitable meal is. Her entire thing is supposed to be about not judging people by what they eat or their perceived health or their
She only means that when you're talking about her.
Body size, and then literally given the first possible opportunity, she's about to judge someone by what they eat and their perceived health and their body size. And how exactly would Tess Holiday know that Gwyneth Paltrow has an eating disorder? Is she perhaps inferring this based on the size of Gwyneth Paltrow's body? Because
yes, and because of what she said, exactly. She can judge, but you are not allowed to judge her.
like 2 TikToks ago, somebody asked Tess about her personal diet and her ED, And Tess had this to say in response.
Oh, and you can't even say healthy in Tess's house. I mean, she's just so freaking crazy. I should do some videos on Tess. Those will be fun for you guys, because if you want to see me high strung and raging, that would be the ones to watch.
Or maybe, just maybe,
she's reacting, if you're not watching, if you're listening, to a TikTok comment that says, WTF is wrong with you? You eat so much. I've seen videos and it doesn't look like you have an ED. You have no idea what you're saying. And Tess absolutely does have an ED. It's not a restrictive one. She's not a dainty queen that diets and starves her way into, like I said, being super gigunda fat. She definitely has an overeating disorder in a big way.
it's impossible to look at someone and tell whether or not they're struggling with an eating disorder.
No, Tess. Actually, once you get to your size, you absolutely can look at somebody and tell that they have an ED. And in your case, your ED is a massive over-consuming disorder. Gluttony, if you want to call it that. Binge eating, take your pick, all of the above.
Or if they're healthy. And more importantly,
and you can absolutely look at somebody her size, or say Eugenia Cooney size, and tell that they are not healthy. You just can. Because I don't care if Tess has good blood work or whatnot, she's not healthy at that size. No way at all.
whether either of those two things are any of your business or concern.
Okay, fair. So why the double standard for Gwyneth Paltrow then Tess? That TikTok was posted literally 2 weeks ago. You're literally asking.
Because Tess is a self-centered queen who thinks she's higher and mightier than she actually is.
People to hold you to a different standard than you are publicly holding someone else to. Hypocrisy is just...
But yet people continue to give her airtime, to give her a platform, to take her advice.
Meanwhile, what is she advocating for here? What, that Gwyneth Paltrow should never be invited to speak on a podcast again?
I know, really. Well, she would never say that about another fat creator. She's saying it because Gwyneth is thinner and fitter and focuses on healthy foods, and people go, yay, those are healthy, and they demonize what Tess eats because it's all crap and not healthy. And what it comes down to at the end of the day is jealousy. It's jealousy is all it is.
Imagine that Tess was held to the same standard.
To take her advice because everyone is too afraid to be fat.
Okay, I get literally...
You should be afraid to be fat. That's what I consider fat phobia to be. And you should be afraid to be fat or too skinny. You want to be in the healthy middle. Being fat is not fun. It comes with a myriad of health problems and complications and shortens your lifespan. So yes, you should definitely be afraid to be fat. And I don't mean just a little overweight, 10, 15, 20 pounds. But when you get to Tessa's size, you should be absolutely mortified.
I really speak after every word that she says. I don't want to keep cutting her off.
It takes work. It takes actual effort to be Tessa's size. That's how big she is. So not everybody could get that size if they wanted to. I mean, you have to force the amount of food that woman has to eat. She has to be eating at least 4,000 or 5,000 calories a day. And that is a ton of food.
So Tess then goes into this big story about how they were at the same restaurant and Gwyneth ordered a cauliflower pizza with no cheese. And then Tess had this to say.
Oh my God, she wanted cauliflower crust pizza. Again, this woman cannot fathom somebody not eating carbs or processed refined flour. And again, she's mad because people criticize her food because it's garbage. And, clap for Gwyneth because she's so focused on maintaining her healthy habits.
And I'm not here to judge what people put in their bodies.
Except you are, Tess. Except you are, because that's exactly what you're doing.
Especially as someone that has a restrictive eating disorder. But this shit isn't normal.
Yeah. Do you realize how insulting it is? I am insulted for people who have an actual restrictive ED. That this woman who's sitting here, like I said, carrying a good 175, 200 extra pounds on her body and has the nerve, the actual gall to say that she has a restrictive eating disorder. I mean, do you not agree that that is just absolutely asinine and insulting and just, it's like, I feel like I'm on crazy pills listening to this.
Normal. And it's affecting a whole other generation of young folks who think that eating like GP is appropriate, is okay.
And it is. Compared to eat like her or eat like you, Tess Holiday, it's absolutely healthier for them to eat like her. Tess encourages horrible eating patterns and eating behaviors and bad relationships with food and your body, and pushes people into delusion about health and weight and things like that. Tess, like I said, very easily influences more young people than Gwyneth Paltrow does. And Tess is causing active damage and harm to each and every one of them, because believe you me, a lot of them worship her and take her word and what she does as role and try to emulate and be like her. And it's horrible. It's horribly dangerous.
I don't think many 17-year-old girls are taking diet tips from 50-year-old women like Gwyneth Paltrow, but I'm quite...
That's the other thing, is even though Gwyneth looks great, she is older, and I don't consider 50 old. I'm going to be there in a few years, but she's not as active on social media and stuff. She's not like a big social media star like Tess is. She's not in, you know what I mean? So Tess absolutely influences more girls, and millions of people, but especially young women.
Sure that many young overweight women look up to Tess. Actually, I'm sure of it. I can literally see them in her comment section. So who is really affecting the next generation of young folks?
And I'm not saying that I have all the answers and I have it figured out, because I sure the hell don't. But
well, you think you do.
With all the talk about Ozempic and all these other weight loss drugs, it's exhausting. It is okay to feed your body. Carbs are not the devil.
But Gwyneth suffers from inflammatory problems. So for her, yes, carbs may be the devil, because you know what? Carbs, even in the form of, quote, healthy whole ones, have an inflammatory response in your body, at least for a certain period of time. Each one of them, whether it's from broccoli or a candy bar or whatever, they all temporarily have an inflammatory response. When you have inflammatory conditions, that can cause you a lot of pain and a lot of problems. Grains can be a really big problem, but some people can handle the lower starch veggies a lot better. So for some people, they are bad. And yes, you need to feed your body. There's a difference between feeding your body, which is someone like Gwyneth does, compared to you, Tess, who stuff yourself like a holiday turkey to the point where you end up like looking like a sausage stuffed in a casing. Like, you don't feed your body, you stuff your body, you gorge and glutton yourself, and you eat mostly packaged, processed, takeout, fast, garbage, junk food, and you encourage a bunch of women, a bunch of young people to do the same thing. So that is more dangerous, and I am sorry if that's mean and that's rude and I sound horrible, but Tess is a truly horrible person.
Fat isn't bad, and I mean fat in your food and fat on your body.
Fat in your food is not bad as long as it's not a trans fat. I mean, you don't want to be having margarine, soybean oil, canola, crap like that. If it's a good natural fat, yes, as long as you're not supremely overeating like this woman here is. And a little bit of fat on your body, like I said, is not bad. And believe it or not, Gwyneth probably does have fat on her body. Like I said, she's lean, but she is still in the lower to mid range for a healthy body size for her height and her build and stuff like that. She looks perfectly healthy, but everybody is so fat nowadays that by comparison, somebody like Gwyneth looks like too skinny, you know, but really 30, 40, 50 years ago, that's what everybody looked like. And you would have seen Tess at the local circus because she would have been the fat lady at the circus. But having fat like Tess, that's bad.
It's not bad. But hey, anything for $1, anything for the cost of people's mental health.
Oh, you have room to talk, Tess Holiday.
Anyway, that's enough Tess Holiday for me today and the next little while. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you in the next.
This was a great video. This was a fun subject to kind of revisit. I didn't react to it when it happened. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. A little fun and a little bit of a spicy heated take at the end, but Tess Holiday has that effect on me. Yeah, I thought this would be nice. This is a really good video. The only video I've ever seen of Kiana's that was poorly researched and didn't hit the mark was her review of the carnivore diet, which that review is on my channel if you want to go and watch it. But all of her other ones are pretty much really on the mark, and this was one I agree with everything she said. It was great. I will link this down below, and I just hope you guys have a good evening. It's Good Friday where I'm at, so I hope you have a good Friday, and I will see you guys in the next video.